Going on, Macro Perspective peeps? Seamus in the house. Today I've got a good friend, Jose Pablo Martinez. We kind of met virtually online, doing some self development work, doing the Tony Robbins earlier this year. I think it was like February, March. Um, we've been in talks for a little bit, and I think this podcast comes in at a good time because I think everyone needs a little bit of self development in their life. So I think this conversations are going to be in depth things about self development, how to understand your passion, your purpose, and how to apply that in your life. But I've been talking with Jose for like the last 30 minutes off camera, and man, Jose is giving me some gold nuggets that I feel like I should have hit record on already, but we're going to have to run it back. First and foremost, Jose, when you introduce yourself talking about children, because he works with kids, owns a school with his family, he's talked about a business that he's working on, speaking events, and all these things. So with that being said, Jose, do introduce yourself, where you're from, and this whole self-development kind of world that we want to talk about today, my man.
Well, thank you so much, Samus. So, my name is Jose. I'm from Colombia. I currently work at the high school we have. It's a private high school we have. It's a family business. And as you were saying, this is kind of important for me because part of our purpose is to lead our kids and children in order to empower their beliefs so that they can really get some tools, life-changing tools, so that they can become happier and powerful leaders of the 21st century. And
Yeah.
that's part of our mission, as you said. Yeah, we did met at the UPW event of Tony Robbins. I actually enjoy it a lot, and it has changed my life. And whoever is seeing this podcast, I do recommend him or her to try to reach out, either if it is a book, of Tony, or podcast, or a free YouTube video, whatever you want, just
Dude.
look at it because it will make you ask yourself better questions in order to have this breakthrough you need so that you
Yeah,
can know
man.
what you need to do.
Dude, all out shout out to Tony Robbins for sure. Like personally for myself. Um, First and foremost, I want to shout him out just because of the fact that dude has been doing this since the 80s. I don't know. He's been doing this for a long time. He's been that consistent, and he talks about self development, breaking your beliefs, and shifting and breaking through. My first initial contact with Tony Robbins was about 2017. I read the book Awaken the Giant Within. Then from there, my boss, he did the Tony Robbins event. He's like, Seamus, you got to go to this. So he gifted it to me for a little like 3-day weekend vacation. Went with a buddy, flew up to San Francisco from LA, did it, and um, before that, the 10 days leading up to that, I did the 10-day mini disc course that they sent you. So I did like a 10-day course, and man, book, course, YouTube videos, him, and then doing a 3-day event, and it was insane. Just because the energy with 10,000 plus people in one stadium, it was at the Shark Stadium in San Jose, was insane. And the one thing I could definitely tell you that energy, effort, like those are things that when it comes to the concept of self-development, right, Jose, like you can't do anything without energy or effort. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, 100% sure. But what I would like to emphasize to whoever is seeing this podcast is something really important, and that is that you really have an inner power. I mean, all the
Yeah.
power and all the strength you need is within you, as you. So that's what Tony always says, and I've proved myself that is 100% correct because actually my story with Tony is it's pretty funny. What happened is that whenever you really want to change your life and you say it's enough, I want to change some stuff, I need to feel better, I just want to improve myself, I just want to grow, I want to be more connected to the universe, to this world, to God, to whatever you live on. And so I was kind of in that situation in some point of my life because I was currently working at that moment in two jobs. So in the high school, I'm currently working on that is the family business we have, and I was at a second job, like a remote job from home, and so my main goal at that moment it was maybe to bring up to my family, I mean my wife and I, like a bit more of money we all need, right? Like a monthly income, so we can have like I don't know, like better life quality, like mm, maybe opportunities to travel and all these things that matters to us, right? But the thing that happened is that I worked my ass off like 6 months, and I was maybe earning this amount of money that I was like kind of proud of. But then something happened, I was not happy. I was not happy looking just for money and being busy all day and being like stressed off in my own house, working remotely. And my office was also stressing my wife because my wife lives here and he was looking at me all with all the stress and that bad attitude. And so my marriage was not so great with this. Everything was going downside because of this urgency of earning a bit more of money. And finally, something happened at my work. It was that my coffee, I accidentally split it like in my desk and everything. So I have to just get off the camera and the computer to clean everything because my wife was so stressed off because of the coffee that she was just trying to help me out with this. And then my boss started scolding me like, why are you off your station? Why are you off your camera? Why are you not working right now? And I told him like, well, boss, I just split my coffee. I'm so sorry. It just dropped. The cup dropped off and it was an accident. And he was saying me just things like, these aren't the rules we have here. You cannot drink coffee in your workstation and you have breaks for that. And this shouldn't have happened and etc. etc. And I was just looking at my wife like she doesn't deserve this, right? So I told him like, you know what? I'm doing this. And if you want to fire me, that's okay. Or I can sue you or whatever. I was kind of a mad guy in that moment. I was kind of an angry guy with life in that precise moment. And one thing led to another, and I just said it's enough. And I told my wife, "This is not worthy. We don't need this. We can wait. Maybe I can work harder at the family business so I can like get myself like a higher level at the company or a better income. I can prove to my family my results and all that
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But this is not worthy, and so I quit. I quit. I said
Yeah.
this is not. But when I quit, I promised myself like if I quit and I'm not looking like for a second job in another type of the same company that is just like pushing you harder, harder. So I promised myself like if I'm quitting, I'm working on myself somehow. So I started to work on this diary or little journal I had, like a personal agenda. I was writing on all the stuff I needed to get better on, and I was just I don't know making some praise to God, just asking for guidance and for tools for being better and reading some books. And when I was doing that, I saw this Netflix documentary called like "I'm Not Your Guru" from Tony Robbins, and it was like, oh, this guy is kind of crazy, right? Like all this big energy he has, like you kind of I mean you can get a little bit scary at first, because you are not in that peak state, in that state of energy. So that puts you like step
Yeah,
away.
it kind of repels you a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, dude,
at
first off,
first.
before you continue, I kind of want to interject here. Like,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
great
Sorry.
story. Like, I think that's like the coming of the hero's journey of like finding the problem. Like, I think we were talking about this before, and I don't want to state this, but like in the pursuit of something else, whether it be money, there is a choice, and sometimes there is a sacrifice. And you saw that. You're like, all right, I got to pursue this, and I want to make more money. But then you're noticing how making that money was inconveniencing or stressing your relationship with your wife. And dude, it's so funny. And I don't say this to belittle the moment, but to actually emphasize the moment where a spilt cup of coffee is what set this all off. And that spilt cup of coffee is not, it wasn't the problem. The
Right.
problem was the fact that you had spent months and months and months working and working and working. Yes, you're getting money, but also at the same time, your wife is looking at you and there's intensity there, and it's this thing that you have to decouple, and then your work is yelling at you. So it wasn't the coffee that was the problem.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
problem was all these other things you were maybe blind to in that moment all came down with the spilled cup of coffee. And I think that comes to show, we were talking about this, is you said it, Soshi and Katori,
Yeah,
Kensho and Satori.
Kensho and Satori. Yeah, you're right.
Break that down for us. What is Kensho and Satori? Like in Kensho and
So
Satori, the term.
so Kensho is basically the cup of coffee.
That was it. That was the pain in your life that showed up.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, whoever is looking at this video can realize that Kensho is always coming. It's always coming for you. So I was not looking at that moment precisely for self-development. Not, I was not
It
looking.
found you.
So yeah, so self-development will actually find you. I mean, because the universe, God, um, whatever you believe on, will find a way through Kenshu to bring to your life a big problem, a little issue, just one thing that make it all change. Yeah, right. Like the thing you needed to just to say it's enough, so that you can learn some lesson from there and go to the next step. However, you can always have the wrong decision at that moment and say, okay, it's not enough. I'm not quitting. I'm just waking up tomorrow to do the same stuff because I still don't want anything else for my life. But eventually, when you are 50, 60, 70, 80, that moment will come in which you say, enough is enough. And it doesn't matter whenever you decide it's that moment to come. It's just that whenever you see that opportunity, just take it, because from big decisions, from big and hard decisions, it's when you can get the better outcomes and the better life changing opportunities.
100%,
So,
dude.
as you said before, success comes with a price, and sometimes that price is the high risk and the limiting beliefs you have to crush to not be scary of taking what you really deserve.
100%. So Kenshu and Satori, I love that. Kenshu is pain. Satori
Yeah,
is more of like progressing through success, but both have lessons within them, right? Kenshu is a pain that may come at you because it's a blindsided thing. Satori is that thing where you're being proactive and you're learning and getting
right.
after it. And we have
Proactive,
ebbs
right?
and flows, right? Ebbs and flows. Life is sometimes you're in Satori where you're like everything is good, like where life is. It's I don't want to say easy mode, but things are just falling into place with opportunities. You're able to take them. You believe in yourself. But I was saying this before in our conversation before we recorded is that success also comes with the challenges of more success because you come along with it. And what I mean by that is when you come along the ride of success, you also bring your old beliefs, your old values, that may not fit a certain situation anymore. And you need to reprogram yourself, right? Rewire yourself a little bit. Because if not, a Kenshu will come along where it's like, okay, I'm
Right.
going to break this. So, like, let's say, for example, it's that person. Let's just use your example. You were going hard with work. Like, you're in this belief, like, man, I'm making success. I'm making money.
Mm.
Cup of coffee. Now it really showed. You probably had to have a conversation with your wife afterwards, maybe an argument. I mean, you argued with your boss, and it's like you're like, man, that's not like me. Why did I respond in this way? Because I don't, you probably don't see yourself as a person that's like argumentative and breaking people down or over a spilt coffee. So it kind of shows, and I see this all the time. I've seen it within myself. Same thing in my relationship where things are going well in one thing, but I don't have the wherewithal to even entertain my fiance and like listen to her, and like that brings freaking problems between us, and it's like it's within me. Let me ask you this, Jose. I think we were talking about Tony Robbins, but and just not even Tony Robbins, but like just kind of self development overall. Like fundamentally, like you said, it will come to you. One thing we're talking about, because I know you work with kids, and I know you're in Colombia. Here in the States, we're talking about self development being something that is intertwined in children's academia, in their things. What would that look like to be part of children's academia, children's schooling, where they're thinking about breaking beliefs, asking themselves better questions, figuring out success, but also at the same time rewiring themselves? Because I'm not sure I felt like I had that, but I grew up in a public school system where at the time, my parents go to college and that's it. Get the good grades, go to college, do those things. I was able to become a wholehearted person, right? I was doing sports. I did other curriculars. I did chase it. My parents allowed that. But there's this social agenda sometimes where it's like, no, just go to school, get good grades, go get a job. And that's been around for a long time. Um, and sometimes you get into a routine where you just believe like this is what I have to do, but it may not be the right thing. It's a good option. Like it's still a good option, but it's not necessarily the thing that's fundamentally your source or your soul, like what it wants to truly do on this planet.
Yeah, it does not
So how do you
resonate.
approach that with
Yeah.
kids, like with the work you do?
Well, so you talked about like 5 points, but they are all related. So I gotta say here that first of all, what we all have at some point of our lives, I still have it. I mean, I'm not perfect, right? I can be a coach. I can be working on coaching people and guiding some persons with the things I know and I understand. But I cannot tell you I'm perfect because I'm also human. I also receive all these kind of lessons on a daily basis. So I do have my challenges and my days are not perfect. I can have struggles on a daily basis. And I think Tony has as well and everyone. So that is that we almost live like under expectations and not appreciation. So what it means is that we get used to be a manager of our circumstances, like be those kind of victims, like, oh, all this is happening to me, and now I get this delivery guy who brought my food and he's so cold because he just did not want it to come fast to me home, right? And then my boss is calling me and everything is happening against you, right? But that's just being a manager of your circumstances. You can shift that and take control of your life, like 100% control of your life by rewiring yourself, as you said, right? By putting some empowering beliefs in the place you took off those disempowering beliefs you have, like everything is happening against me, nothing is working. My boss is horrible. He's a horrible person. He's never going to change. He's not human. He's an extraterrestrial, like an evil extraterrestrial. I cannot reach him or her anyway. So when you get rid of all those kind of bullshit stories you made up in your mind. So you are now open to a new way in which you can change everything because now you have a lot of things under your control. For
Yeah.
instance, you cannot change your boss, right?
Impossible.
That's not under your control. But
Yeah.
it is under your control to just greet him or her and just say, "Hey boss, good morning. How are you feeling today? How was
Yeah.
your weekend?" And maybe it's under your control, understanding that him or her is under stress as well. He or she is a human who maybe is having like a medical challenge with his kid at home or whatever is going on and you don't even know. So you are open minded, and then God, the universe, everything just brings you whatever you want to your life if you are committed to it, if you make your part. So
Yeah.
let's think now about our kids in our schools, right? So it's a different thing because they are so open-minded right now that they can
Oh yeah.
learn whatever you put into them. So
Yeah.
if you teach them with bad stuff, they will just absorb all of that and they will build up their own rules on how to see the world, how to understand how things work. So you start to teaching them like things like, okay, so this is good and this is bad. So don't do this and do this. So they start to divide things on what they should do and what they shouldn't. So they have to get a job. They cannot make a business. They have to, I don't know, think about money only or money first. And they cannot think about first about their health, their family, their
Hmm.
marriage, their relationship, their self development, because there are some made up rules we
I
make
call it
in
like a
society.
hijacking. Yeah, I call it like a
Yeah,
hijacking,
yeah,
right?
it's a
Like,
hijacking basically.
yeah, because it's people, the preconceived notion from maybe the environment, their education, or the people before them, like their parents. I'll say it for me now for the listeners. Like, I grew up with a single mom, hustled, bro, hustled. Four boys, single mom. I was helped raised by my aunt and like other people that can help raise me, like my grandparents, and any aunts and uncles, right? My mom wasn't always there to give me those frameworks of what is right or wrong, or not even what is right or wrong, but like how to just navigate the world. So then there's other people coming in. Uncle says this, I learned that from him. Aunt says this, learn that from him. Well, I hang out with the older kids in the crowd. Those kids are super impressionable. I'm super impressionable. I like that kid. I want to try to fit in. So I just start taking these things, and now I'm kind of creating my own narrative in the world. And it's weird because
Your own made up rules.
yeah, again, you kind of create your own made up rules, but then what you're kind of saying, kind of going back to like pain and suffering, or success and not, you may be finding success hanging out with a certain group of friends. I found success hanging out with a group of friends, but here's the funny thing: certain group of friends, I've had certain groups of friends that passed away from drugs or were just in the wrong crowd and stuff. It's like, well, you got success by hanging out with them. You're hanging out with them, you're making new friends, but then you realize, oh shoot, these people were hanging out with other people that gave them different things. So it's like you start navigating the world and you start realizing like, oh snaps, and then I think that's when you as a person, kind of in that child, adolescence, teenager, where you got to start going like, oh, my parents aren't always going to be here. The adults in my life I'm supposed to trust aren't always going to be here, and I've got to make these decisions on my own. And reason I ask about this, and I'm just kind of using my story here for the listeners, that like we need to teach these concepts of storytelling, developing, setting boundaries, communication more often to our children, so that whatever situation they end up in, they know how to navigate that situation for themselves, right?
Yeah, skills. Like yeah, like empowering skills.
Yeah.
So So the good thing about kids is that they are still building up the, let's say, the biggest percentage of their own identity. So that's what I was going to talk next. So what's identity? Identity is what really manage manage your life. So when you make up this, when you made up these own rules on how to thrive in your life, then those rules eventually, when you practice those rules day by day, they become a whole identity. So now you are who you are because you believe in these things, and that's you. So we are supposed to teach our children, for instance, in our school, based on skills they should have, as you said, so that they can decide for themselves. So let's say that it's not appropriate to tell them just look, there's like a Satori way and a Kensho way, so the universe is like this, and this is all going to happen like this.
Yeah,
Because
it's not a script, right? It's not
yeah,
a
because
it's not like a
that's
movie.
that's exactly the same thing. So uh, you just need to teach them there are several ways of self-development. There are several approaches. Um, there are certain ways to think better than others, so that they can empower their own beliefs and that they can choose on what to believe on, right?
Yeah,
So you can tell them, for instance, you have to learn how to ask yourself better questions every day, how to think about what I'm doing and why I'm doing this. Does it have any purpose in my life? Does it have a big or important outcome that can improve my life? Why I'm doing this? When I'm doing this, how I'm going to do this, so that they can ask themselves, they can discover by themselves these breakthroughs on how to manage their own self development. So
love
that's the
that.
deal, like
Yeah,
to give them empowering skills so that they can
yeah,
build up a really strong identity based on I have an inner power, and it's not like just a big power, it's like a huge power, and I can do whatever I want with
yeah,
that power I have, and that's my identity.
yeah. That's a good
So
point.
that they can focus on that. Because
Take the power back in your hand. Yeah, it's kind of like what you said earlier. Like you could have a boss that's scolding you, yelling at you, but then realizing like, hold on, let's wash this away real quick. Let me see what I can do. Let me empathize. Let me ask them what's going on, and then realize, oh, it's just another human on the other side. People have these things, and that identity. If you can have a stable identity and be able to have power within you, I think the world becomes less chaotic and becomes just kind of what it is, and you just navigate it. I I liked what you were saying before. I'm a big fan of someone else in terms of like that self development, kind of talking about how to ask yourself better questions. Um, I don't know if we talked about this before, but Jordan Peterson is someone that's been an impact in my life. He has this prompt. It's called Future Writing. It's about $28 or $22 from last when I remember. I've given this as a gift to multiple people as like a login. I buy the gift for them or the PDF and I send it to them as a gift. And it's such a powerful tool that I've heard that when freshmen in high school and freshmen in college literally do this writing prompt. I don't even know if it's long. I think it's like less than an hour of writing. It's a few questions. They say that graduation rates increases so much more, or passing rates increase so much more, and all these things. And I'm not saying like graduation is the thing or the passing. It just shows that when people were intentional and wrote down from really good questions what they want to happen and write it out, journal it out, and showcase, hey, in the first person, this is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to have to do, who I need to become, the identity I need to have. When they write these things out and they
and
reflect
why?
on that, because, The big why, I think, dude, honestly, I think the big why is it's when you write it out.
No, no, no. What I wanted to add is that you should write it as well, like, and why I'm doing this, right?
Yeah, yeah, why they're doing this exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's super powerful, and I think it just brings back the word, and the word is like self power, autonomy, back into the person's hand of showing like, look, I write this out, I do this, I'm intentional, and I'm hitting my goals. And let's say you don't necessarily hit your goals, but you work on that and you attack it. You don't live life passively. You live it assertively, right?
Yeah, you're not reacting. You're being proactive by doing this. I agree completely. And I think most authors express this as incantations. For instance, when you read Atomic Habits from James Clear, uh, it's all about that, right? About changing your identity. And one of the tools you have for doing so is to make up these plans for your life, but always, as you said, like an incantation. So an incantation is like a real plan I have for doing this thing that is important to me. So you write down like, I want to do this. Let's say each Sunday because I want to get this result, or I'm doing this right away after having my shower, and you just make a plan so that it comes a reality, right? So
Make the
it is a
plan, but
planning,
also
right?
put it on the calendar. Put it on the calendar
Right,
because it's gotta have a deadline. It's gotta have a date. Must have
right.
it because I've literally heard people, and so for those that know, obviously, as a performance health coach and nutrition coach, one of the biggest things I deal with in America, Jose, is weight loss, fat loss. And we have this whole thing about GLP-1s right now. I'm not even going to get into that. But they go, I want to lose weight. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, I want to lose 40 pounds by the end of the year because I have my son's wedding and I want to make my ex husband's new girl jealous. And I want to make sure everything is there. Or, hey, I just had this conversation the other day. Client, he's 27 years old. His dad at 57 had a heart attack and has hyper lipidemia or something like this. And he's like, I asked him, I'm like, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to become healthy. I'm like, that's some bullshit. Like, what do you really want? And he's like, I really want to become healthy so I don't have a heart attack, so I don't do the things that my dad's doing. Like, I don't want to be a smoker. I don't want to be just overweight, and I don't want to be bedridden and taking like 7 medications because I'm helping him take those medications. I'm like, all right, we got real
Yeah.
clear. And then we had to have a real conversation about what does that look like in your calendar. Where he's like, well, I'm really busy with work right now. I can only do like 2 workouts a week. I'm like, all right, put it on your calendar right now. And it's just getting really honest with yourself about if you have a goal, it's not this like ethereal goal. It's like, I want. We all want something. We all want something. But what is that want in reality? And how does it become something in reality? And you have to have an anchor. You kind of have to have some pain, some pleasure there, or whatever drives you to make it a must in your life, make it consistent, and make you reach that goal. And I think in doing that, when you ask those right questions, like you're talking about, Jose, you can really find a way to navigate that. And when it gets hard, when it's not perfect, when life challenges you, you can adapt and overcome.
Yeah, yeah. You're totally right. What I can say about this is that whenever you are goal oriented, you are actually in the right way, right? Because now you have an outcome to reach.
Yeah.
However, we have to be careful about some things. Because, for instance, let's say that my wife wants to lose some weight, but that is just because we are going on a trip, right? This December. So what can happen is that maybe we go on that trip, and maybe when we just go back home, maybe she gains this weight, right?
Yeah,
So why?
she goes back on her old ways.
Right. Yeah. So what does it why does this happen? Because it's what you said. So it's not only what I want, but going deeper on what I really want. So ask yourself, what is that really big why you have? What's that really big why you have? Because for instance, Tony Robbins says that whenever you want to make a life change, like it is like a lasting life change. So whenever you want to do this, you must have three things. So the first thing is like get that into a real must, like get that motivation, that power you need. So you do it two ways, for instance. One way is looking up what we did at that event, at the most disempowering and I don't know, like mm, worst scenario you will approach if you continue, I don't know, smoking that thing or eating that garbage. So what will happen with you, right? Like
Yeah,
ask yourself, what will really happen? I'm gonna
yeah,
die. I'm gonna have a heart attack, as your client said, right? This is a huge stuff. This is big and real,
yeah,
right? And then you do the opposite. Like, what could happen to my life if I was maybe a bit younger, more attractive, lighter, and if I eat healthier things? So
yeah,
how will I feel? How
yeah,
will my life change uh, dramatically, or I mean, for good? So you make that exercise, and you get that fuel, that
yeah.
drive you need,
That
right?
that worst and best outcome. I love
Right.
that. Yeah, being able to ask that.
Just
So like
get that
that's the
drive.
first step. Yeah, just get the
Yeah.
first two steps. Yeah,
Even if it's just thinking about, if I continue to do this, I'm gonna lose my child or my wife or whatever. Even if it's just that, just
I'm gonna
get
be
that
honest with
powerful
you.
drive. Get
Yeah,
that
I'm gonna
powerful
be honest
drive,
with you,
right?
Jose. I know this sounds really like for some people. For some people they probably have never thought something through for like all right, exercise. Everyone here with me real quick because I know this a lot. Fat loss or heart attack. That let's use that client. Let's just go through that exercise. My client keeps eating that food. He keeps gaining weight. He keeps having triglyceride issues. He keeps having bad, you know, habits. We play that out 1 year. All right. Well, he's more overweight. 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years, 10. Well, his dad got a heart attack at 57. So in 30 years, maybe we can guarantee he's going to have a heart attack. I feel like sometimes people need to play that story in their head of it every year, getting worse and worse. That pain in your chest, that like tension in your body, and you start feeling that pain. You're like, yo, what the fuck? Like, because I'll be honest with you, I play that pain out sometimes, brother, and I'll do it. And I'll go deep into dark areas with a bit of neutrality, knowing that like I'm going to these things as an
Yeah,
exercise, not like I'm
yeah, of
identifying with
course.
it. And
Yeah,
it's enough to like get me to act. Like I will be, for example, like with that heart attack like thing, like I will train harder. I will like I'm gonna be really locked in with my nutrition
okay.
today. I'm gonna make sure I get my sleep. I'm like I've been doing a lot of runs and I'm like I'm definitely not getting this time on the run. I'm gonna hit a hard time. And I think it's super powerful where when you play it out both ways, this really worse situation, I know this sounds weird. The positive situation, it's very nice. It's nice and shiny to look at, but for the people listening, like if you don't go to the bad and play it out in your head, the shiny and the nice stuff really doesn't hold any merit. Like you have to do both. And it's good to start with the bad stuff because you start going, okay, I played that out. F that noise. Let's go over here. I like that. Let's go do that.
Of course. And let me ask you something. How do you know it's so good not to be single, but to be married or be in a relationship? How do you know that?
It's a really great question. But just to answer simply, but like the love, the happiness that I feel with my fiance, the things that I look forward to, and basically just the joy and, you know,
But
I
how
can't
do
see
you
myself.
know? But I mean, how do you know that it is actually better than being single? How can you know that?
Oh, I'll tell you right now, it's how it's better than being single. It's a good question. I'm 30 years old right now. I'm peaking as a male. I'm really having a lot of success in life. Her and I are having success together in our relationship. It's great. If I was single right now, oh my God, if I had to date other people and put that energy in and then have to meet new people and try to interact and try to figure out the lay of the land, social media, Tinder, whatever it is, honestly, I'm not saying it's like a bad thing, but just for me, I'm like, I wouldn't really want to do that right now. You know what I'm saying? I just
So
really,
so you have been there. Have you
oh,
been
I've been
single?
there. Yeah.
All right. So that's how you know
Yeah.
how it's better to be in a relationship right now because you have been single before.
Yeah.
So how do you know if you are happy right now because you have been sad before? You know
Yeah.
how it's to be sad.
I
So
will
that's
push
how
back
you
on that.
know
I'll
you are
push
happy
back on
right
that a
now,
little bit.
right?
I'm, I'll push back on that. It's a good point. Just this situation alone, like I'm a very happy person overall. Um, when I was single, still very happy, still very much in a great place. And I think people that are single can still be in a great place. However, my life is significantly that much better and greater with Desiree in my life because of the fact that she is someone that's there in my side, challenges me, pushes me, believes in me more than I believed in myself in some points, and truly is. And the best way I could say this is like truly competitive with me because it brings out my best, like to like want to do better, and she holds up a mirror to me that is like kind of like what you're talking about, of this worst version of myself. Not that this worst version of myself was there when I was single, but it's just like this version of myself that isn't attentive, this version of myself that isn't wanting to create a family, that isn't trying to push for kids, like you're talking about, like leaving an impact on kids, being like the next generation of people to change, you know, our world. And she keeps me on the path, if that were the way to say it.
Yeah, well, actually, we we will actually need. I mean, we will need like a whole podcast to talk about relationship, but it all it all it all it all summarizes into this. Is what Tony says, for instance, is just that relationships magnify your whole life. That's it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
put it just let's put it
Just to
that
put it
way.
that way. Yeah, just to put it
Yeah,
that way. That's a good point.
but what I was going to explain is that the universe has this law called polarity, this law of polarity. So that is why we need the dark side and the good side. That's why we must be single first so we
Hmm.
can appreciate a relationship. That's why we need to go out at night and see that it is all dark and oh, there's the moon and that's all. So that we can appreciate and get the difference when it's daylight and we can see
Yeah.
everything. Because if
Difference
we
between.
did not yeah, because if it will be like daylight, the 24 hours of the day, like everything is sunlight and the sun
Never
never goes
changes.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it never changes.
We don't
Then,
have that. We don't have that flip. Yeah. It's supposed
yeah,
to. Yeah. We don't
yeah, then,
appreciate the good stuff that we're aiming for without knowing how bad it can get. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why we make those kind of differences. Like we know when we are crying and when we are sad. We know when we are happy. We know when we are mad or not. So that's how important it is to get deep into the dark side as well.
Yeah. It's very
So
important. I know it sounds odd. I know we're hammering this. I want to hammer it for the
yeah,
audience, but like integrate with your dark side. Don't put it away. Don't push it away. Like integrate with it. I know it sounds weird,
identify
but
it,
yeah,
identify it,
understand
and
it.
understand it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
understand it.
mean.
Don't just try to like compartmentalize it because kind of like
Yeah,
the Kenshin Satori, it'll If you try to just stuff it and compartmentalize it, oh, there's no darkness. It'll slap you across the face in the happiest moment of your life sometime or something like
Yeah,
that.
because self-development is not about being positive, right?
It
It's
isn't.
about it is about just take control of your mind, really, because
Yeah,
your mind can be like a big tool you have, so it can turn against you or it can
powerful.
work with you.
It's very
So
powerful.
it's just about that, right? It's just about thinking, asking yourself better questions. And I just want to make this clear so that our audience can be more relaxed. And that is, Sam, is that we must get rid of all that complexity of self-development. So what I'm trying to say with this is that there's like actually an universal trick, like a really, 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 really easy stuff you must take right now so that you can assure yourself that you are going to make it happen. And that is that, look, you were basically made by your mom, by the source, by God, by whatever you need. You have been guided to be here right now, alive in this world, and that has a reason, purpose. You are here because there's something you need to do right here, right now. I don't know what it is. Maybe you don't even know what it is. Maybe I don't even know what's my final destiny. But there's a destiny, and in terms of that, when you understand that you are worthy, and you just, let's say, pray or speak to God or try to connect with your soul, with your spirit, or with the source,
Yeah,
or with grace, and you ask for that calling, for that purpose, you start asking yourself better questions. That's all you need to do. That's doing your
that's
part.
it.
That's
That's
doing your
one. Yeah,
part. So
yeah,
that's the difficult part. Just that part. Then the rest is easy. So what's the rest? The rest is just knowing that everything flows where energy goes. So in
one
the
hundred percent.
universe, the energy and the higher um, energy frequencies are all related to love and gratitude. Those are not words I'm saying because, hey, I'm Jose and I'm talking about gratitude and love. Bye bye. No, no, I'm not the one who has talked about this. You can look out for Mahatma Gandhi, Jesus Christ, Buddha, whoever you want that has impacted this world has taught the same thing. Love is the way, love is the truth, everything is love. So what it means is that if you really put yourself in that really beautiful state of gratitude, of
Yeah,
appreciation of everything that is coming to your life, including your problems, your cups of coffee, your Kensho cup of coffee, so you can remember it. So receive that cup of coffee, receive those problems, receive all the things that are being given to you because maybe in this moment they seem to be like an issue, like some challenge, but then eventually, maybe a year from now or something like that, you're going to see that those were actually gifts. So
yeah.
you can look back, you can even see that in your own life, you have received already this kind of gifts you thought before they were
Were
challenges,
challenges. Yeah,
right? So just relax and just keep your faith,
one
keep
hundred percent.
your faith on, because
Yeah,
that's the easiest way to approach self-development. To wake up every morning and just say, you know what, guy? Yeah, you can hear me. So all that kind of that I have today, so I will leave it to you. I don't want to get into that stuff. So just
yeah.
do it for me, okay? Do you mind, please? Okay, okay, just do it for
Thanks
me,
so
okay?
much.
Thank you so
No,
much. I will leave you this heavyweight right here, so
yeah.
you can take it,
It's a good point. I think
and
this.
everything
I,
will be, believe me,
I'm being
easier than
honest,
ever.
dude.
Easier.
I'm being honest, 100%. I think this comes into what you're saying is like what the person can take away right now and do right now and consistently. I will say this right now, guys, for the audience listening, like have a daily thing that you do that is a practice that is tapping into love and gratitude. I do it every day. So I prime every morning for about 15 minutes. But before priming, what I do is I'm letting the dog out, using the restroom, doing all that stuff. While I'm kind of doing that, I'm listening to the Bible. I listen to the Bible every day. I've had a stronger faith in my religion because I'm Christian, becoming Catholic. This is not to put out any form of religion out there or anything like that. I respect the listeners on whatever they want, a faith that they want to believe in,
Sure.
or if not. But to have something that grounds you to start the day, whether that's a meditation practice, and scientifically, because guys, obviously I'm all about science and the studies on this stuff. There's been multiple studies on gratitude practices increasing like the frequencies and increasing like the prefrontal cortex or certain neurotransmitters by like 43%. There's a study that stated over 8 weeks, the amygdala lowered in size and the prefrontal cortex increased in size, which is basically that fight or flight response or that adrenal response or always being stressed out, anxiety is coming down. So the science is also saying it's there. But let's not talk about the science. Let's just talk about the practice. I think what Jose is saying is here for the listeners, look, get a practice going, whether it's a faith-based or whether it's just a priming or it's a meditation, 10 minutes, maybe not even much, but let's just start with 10 minutes every day where you start to realize like, okay, I'm in love with people. I love my life. I love my family. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. There are going to be challenges today. There will be. Whatever it is, at work, that new cup of coffee, shoot, someone's going to yell at you in traffic. I'm in LA. Someone's going to do it. But understanding that the more you do that and the more you tap into that, maybe years later down the line, you start looking at life and you look at life, look at the chapters, looking back. And 10 years ago, I look back at things and I'm like, that was a really tough time. But there was a reason that was there, right? There was a tough time when I lost my stepfather. That was the day that I had to step up as the man of the household between me and my mom and my fiance now, where I was like, oh, shoot, I got to become a man and really pay the bills and figure this emotional thing out and do all this stuff. And but at the time, it sucked balls. It sucked a lot, but I just had to get through it. But, and I think this is the biggest but, life, and I think we're talking about self-development here, Jose. Self-development isn't positive or it isn't negative. It's about teaching you the skills and things you need to do to handle any situation. And I always recommend this, that you still do what you need to do in terms of that 10-minute practice or whatever practice it is every day, no matter what. It becomes this non-negotiable because here's what happens. You
It's
keep doing
sacred.
that thing. Yeah, you keep doing it
Yeah.
every single day. It doesn't matter if your day was positive or negative. You start realizing like, oh, these things just happen. And then at some point you start realizing, what do I want to do? And then you start seeing that power again. And then you start navigating in the world where you go, okay, this is what I want. And dude, it's crazy. It's crazy powerful. I've been doing priming every single day. I haven't missed a day in the last 8 months. I will tell you right now, the last 8 months of my life, starting from 2024, like the first day, I was actually priming in 2023, the month of, so it's been 9 months. I haven't missed a day. The last 9 months of my life have been the most insane. Engaged, planning a wedding, relationships, hitting
Congratulations.
100 plus episodes on this podcast. Work has been amazing. Opportunities have been coming my way. Financial success coming my way. Collaborating with people like you, meeting amazing people like you, making new alliances. Like I just do those things. But here's the thing. Those things are great. Those things are great. Awesome. But I'm still not letting those things affect my happiness and who I am and my identity. Those are the things that happen in my life. It's not who I am. I'm still working on those things every day. Even those things are amazing. Yesterday was amazing. It happened. I'm still going to do the gratitude practice the next day. I'm still going to do thing the next day. You know what? Shit happened. I did have a shitty weekend with my fiance. We got into an argument. I'm still going to do the gratitude practice the next day. And it just keeps reinforcing this showing upness, right? And self development, because there's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be something. And I think I really like what you said there, man. You got me going a little bit.
People will never believe it, and I know this is kind of private, and we shouldn't, or maybe this is like a made up rule that we shouldn't uh, tell some private stuff we deal with, but actually we should, so that people can understand that we are just like everyone else challenging the same stuff. So for
Yeah.
instance, before this interview was going on, my wife was even talking with me about canceling me because she felt it was irresponsible from my part, like not to help her right now that she's very busy, and packing some things because we are going on trip, like on a very important trip we planned for about a year, and so she is always being the only one who packed the things, do everything. I mean, she does everything, and I do not collaborate for her. So I'm always like that irresponsible guy who is doing his stuff, but he's not actually collaborating at the
Yeah.
household
Yeah.
tasks. So we had an argue. I mean, we had an argue, but I knew that I needed to have this interview so that we can guide others. And so I knew that
Well, I
that
appreciate it.
situation did not have
Yeah.
to interfere with my energy state and with the knowledge I wanted to share with you. So
Dude,
those
it's
kind of
been
things happen at every moment. I mean, that's life.
that's life,
It,
dude. And
it,
I appreciate that. Tell your wife, blame it on me. Like Seamus really wanted to get this podcast going. And I think it was important that we get this podcast going, but I think it's also important that you do get to your trip. I would like to do this. Jose, we're definitely gonna have to do a part two with Marcos. Here's why. For the listeners out there, dude, the stuff that Jose is talking about, these are the things that you have to address every single day. Every day. Love, gratitude, challenges, opportunities, life. The operating manual is yours. It's what we call the N of one. Tony Robbins, Jordan Peterson, they can teach you systems, tips, understandings, and all these things, but you have to be the one to do the work. You're going to have to be the one that goes, oh, I like this thing, and take that. I read this, I'm inspired by that.
you're gonna
Cool.
be the only one master of your life, not there, not them.
Not them.
Only you are
And
going to be the master of your own life.
exactly. And if, Jose decided, let's just say, to have given into the argument and like decide to get frustrated and not be here in this moment, we might not have had this conversation and it might not affect the one person that we were trying to get to. And I think it's super important. So I think we'll definitely have to continue it. But here's what I want to do, Jose. It has been an hour and a half of talking. It's been an hour on this podcast. I want to be super respectful of your time and your wife's time. Let's do this. What would you like to leave off as a message for everyone on the podcast? And where can people find you on social media if you do have it? And I know you had some ideas of speaking events and certain things in the Latin American areas. Speak about that to end us off here, brother.
Well, I mean, there's no problem, but for sure, if it's been like an hour and a half, we should try to summarize this somehow. So what I would like to add is something regarding what you were saying. Let me think. It was regarding identity and what matters the most. So regarding identity, it's not so complex. It's just about habits. So for instance, if you read this book from James Clear, like Atomic Habits, you can see that the key of building up an identity is just showing yourself enough repeated evidence that you are making progress on that new identity you're looking for. So you don't know this, Sandwich, but I actually lost, let's say, yeah, more than 40 pounds of weight because I was 100, my weight was 100 kilograms. That should be like
Okay.
200, like
220.
200 pounds. Yeah, or
Yeah.
220, yeah. And so now I am 78.
Okay.
And I,
160, one like 72.
yeah, and I did this um, right away after the UPW event because it was important for me to show to myself that I could improve in any aspect of my own life. And what kept me going on, and now I keep that weight, is that I build up a new identity in which I know I'm a healthier guy. I make better decisions in terms of what do I eat and what does not help me. Like I really enjoy more today like fresh food than garbage food because I know that if I eat a hamburger, maybe I'm enjoying it for 1 or 2 minutes, but that's it. Then I know that I just ate some garbage that is not even worthy for me. But if I ate like a salad and a big salmon with it, and I feel like like, oh, this was so great. It
I'm
was
getting hungry.
delicious.
You just talking about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, and this felt like nutritious, right?
Yeah.
So it's what I feel like. I did something great for myself, and then I remember James Clear saying that whenever you repeat this and repeat this and repeat this and show yourself, you are taking different actions towards something. Eventually, you look back and you say, okay, I lost 40 pounds, and that was down there in March, right? And now we are in August. So I've been like 6 months doing this, and I should keep this at least till December or even till August of 2025 until I can build up a strong identity within myself that says, okay, I'm not that fat guy anymore. I'm a,
Yeah.
I'm a complete and different person who really enjoys healthy lifestyle, who wants to do some exercise, who really wants to change.
It's a really
So
good point.
So don't make it that complex. I mean, if you want to change some things, just do what Samu said. Every day have this sacred moment with yourself, and that will build up a huge, empowering identity you need to build up, and that is, I'm a self-developer.
I love
So
that.
that's what happens. The first empowering belief I suggest people to get in their minds for instance in my events is like so I always try to share like four empowering beliefs you should try
Run them. Run them.
to get up to get in your
Send them
life.
quick.
Well, I think I don't have them here, but I think that the first one is I'm a self-developer. I'm a self-developer. And the second and I think most important one is something like I am God or Grace best
Mhm.
friend, and life is always this magical and beautiful life, like exaggerating it,
Yeah.
is always happening for me in
Yeah.
ways I can never imagine. So if you
Dude.
have the faith and you have the self-developer identity, everything else will work on. Don't worry right now about your relationship. Don't worry about your finances. Don't worry about your job because life is never going to be exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah.
That's what I needed to summarize. Now I remember it. When you talked about your situation with your stepfather, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
by the way. So I was going to ask you, it's not what you wanted, right? At that moment, you did not want it that to happen, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe you wanted in your life that things were going to be in a different way, right? But then what I learned in the last event of Tony Robbins is that life is not only about visualizing what I want, and I'm going to have that life because now I'm positive and now I'm in this gratitude state and I'm grateful
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah, you
loving
do
and
all this
caring.
good stuff. Yeah, it's not just about
So
that. There's another thing.
so now I want my life to be like this. That's the first step you make in self-development. And that's huge. That's great. I mean, that's a really improvement. But then life is not going to be exactly as you want it. Why? Because maybe you say, okay, I want to make this business. I'm going to be the next Tony Robbins and I'm going to build up this self development business based on coachings, online coachings, and courses and books and everything. So that's what I'm going to do because that's the life I want. So maybe what happens is that life is not letting you make up that business exactly as you want it. Maybe you are not even making those coachings or online courses or whatever you thought, and uh, and so on. Maybe that business is not happening.
I'll be
But
honest with you. Let me
but
put on that.
just okay, okay.
Marcos and I were making a course. Life happened, and we have a whole course that's never been published. I think I know what you're getting to. Is sometimes the universe. We had Marcos and I had this idea of like what life is supposed to be with this course, and the universe is like, yeah, that's not what we need. We need
Yeah,
something else from you.
it won't be a curse.
Yeah,
Just
they need
give
something
it
else
to
from you.
me.
Yeah.
I will tell you what you need. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
and I think
Yeah.
now we figured out what it's been telling us. You know, like what is probably the most realistic thing in what we were trying to develop. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So what you're saying is exactly what I was going to say. So it is based on what did I really want? Financial freedom and guiding others so that they can grow, or so that I can share my knowledge here, or I can approach my calling of helping others. So that's what you really wanted, and that's the deepest level of what you wanted. So that deepest level of what you wanted, it's it's accomplishing in your life if you do your part. So God, the universe, the source, whatever is going to make that happen so that you can have that financial freedom you wanted and that I don't know, um, helping others calling you wanted to accomplish, but maybe not in the exact way you visualize it or wanted it to be. As Summer said, maybe he wanted like through a course, and he and his partner had everything planned, but then the universe said, "Okay, okay, stop there. There's
No,
a
one hundred
different
percent,
way.
one hundred
There's a
percent.
different way."
We got
Huh?
like 36 modules that we were supposed to make. We made like 24 or something, and I was like, man, we spent months on making these macropod guys. Like for the listeners, we went deep, and there was a team of us, and this will never see the light of day, because we just didn't feel that it was what the universe, the people that we were serving, really needed. And it sucks because you put a lot of hours in, but it's kind of the same thing where it's like you put a lot of hours into something, and that's okay because you learned that it was probably not the thing, and that's it's a lesson in futility, man. It's a it's a lesson.
But what happened actually is that you don't have to. I mean, you did not have to scold yourself because you maybe you. That's the thing. We sometimes scold ourselves instead of pricing ourselves. It's very important to price ourselves
Yeah.
for everything we make, even for the mistakes we make, because we just have to think, okay, thanks God because I have been so impatient today that I have learned some stuff
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now. So do not scold yourself and just realize, okay, it's not about the how. It's not about if I could have done this better or not, or if it was well done by me. Don't scold for those kind of stuff. I mean, it's not, if it is not happening that way, it will
Yeah.
happen other way, and you just have to understand what the universe is telling you so that you can get a different approach, but you will get your ultimate goal, your financial freedom, or your ultimate loving relationship or whatever you
Yeah,
want.
100%. Dude, I love that. I love that. Let's leave it off on that.
Yeah.
Jose, where can people find you and online if you are there? And we'll kind of end it there.
Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna leave you through the chat here. Uh, just just an email I have. Actually, it's not like a coaching email or anything because I'm currently working on building my professional social media for coaching. But
Perfect. Okay, so
this, but
currently
this
making
email,
that perfect. And then we got an email here. What we'll do is when we drop this episode, we'll let people know, hey, coaching platform is pending. Once we decide that like it's going to be online, we're going to start directing them to you. Guys,
yeah,
please give some love to Jose. I think everything he's talking about here was first off, I think it's still surface level. We got to go deeper. And when you want to work with someone in terms of like getting coached, right? I'm a coach, performance health coach, helping people with health and wellness, nutrition, all these things. It's a very tactical, technical thing, and it's very easy compared to everything else because you can see your body and you can make self development through your body, like Jose did, dropping 40 pounds. It's one of the easier ones because you could just you see it and you see progress and you do it, or you don't see progress, you don't do it. It's quick feedback. However, when it comes to self development, like Jose's talking about, it's probably a lot of work. There's probably a lot of deep work, and I've spent over. I'm definitely saying five. You know, definitely over like two. I've definitely done like multiple thousands of dollars on just self development alone. Why? Um, because I'm a person that wants to live life and wants to put my purpose out there and understand at the same time, kind of like what Jose is saying, mixing it with the grace of the universe, God, whatever that is, and playing that all out. And it's important to invest in these things. I think it's investing in yourself and doing that. So Jose is going to give you guys a platform to do so. Being coached by someone else is amazing. Why? Because it's accountability. I can say all these things and journal all I want, but guess what? It just sticks with me. It sticks with me. But when you have a coach in your corner and they're that guide on the side, they can really showcase to you that mirror of like, all right, well, these are the things you want to do. They ask you the better questions and then they get you to really act. So Jose, thank you so much for your time. Macro perspective peeps, be on the lookout for Jose, all right?
thanks to you, Samus, and for those who are interested, just I can tell you that I am looking for making a new event, like a coaching event. Maybe it will be like a 2 day event, like a 2 day measure event, maybe 4 hours a day. And I'm looking forward to make that event maybe in September. So whoever is interested, just for the moment, can just send me an email through
Yeah,
to the email account I just sent to you,
yeah.
and whoever needs some assistance or has any doubts, I can guide him or her for sure. And thank you so much, Samuel, for receiving me. I love this space, and I'm looking forward for making the part two for sure.
Let's do it, man. Appreciate it. All right, Macro perspective peeps, we are out.